Okay, we're live. Here we go. How does our hair look? Check, 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 check. You miss me? It's come to my attention that some people think because I released 3 episodes the first week that I'm releasing 3 episodes a week. No. Fortunately, I don't have time for that because I have a job. But I am releasing episodes every Wednesday if you were curious about that. I just released 3 episodes the first week because I wanted to give y'all content, get y'all hype about the podcast, all that good stuff. So you guys can go listen from episode, 62, I think was my first one back on the pod. So 62, 63, 64, and 65. Now this being 66. These are all new podcast episodes, but feel free to go listen to my old content that I had back from 2020 and 2021. I'm sure some of it's still relevant. I still haven't listened to any of it. So hopefully it's not horrible or outlandish. So I don't know. I just poured LaCroix all over me per last episode, so it's going right on schedule here. But welcome back to the podcast. My name's Kelsey. If you don't know me, if it's your first time here, hey, what's up? I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm just a girl. That's literally, people ask me like, oh, what do you do on social media? What do you like post content about? And I'm like, I'm just a girl. Like, I just post about anything and everything that I want to, and it's just, the content is me. I am the content. So hope you like that. So I was thinking of a topic for today, and honestly, I was kind of at a loss of what to talk about because I just honestly restarted this podcast and started making episodes with no plan. I just knew that if I didn't start, I would never start. So I don't know what to talk about. So if anybody would actually like to slide into my DMs and tell me what I should talk about, I would appreciate it because I know there's a lot of stuff going on in here that I could tell y'all about, but I just don't know what you guys want to hear. So always open to feedback. But I was scrolling back through old episodes and I was thinking about what would be the most interesting topic for me to share, especially from my perspective back then versus now, or just sharing more about my journey in some aspect of my life. And what I landed on talking about was actually body image and dieting, because I actually think I'm at one of the best places that I've ever been in my life, in my relationship with food and my body. And I think if you're not a girl listening to this, I don't know, guys also, I guess, have insecurities as well, of course, but I think as women, we tend to put a lot of worth and value in the way that we look, and it's really hard to disconnect, the way that you feel about your body from the way that you feel about yourself as a person. And so I just kind of wanted to share some thoughts and feelings and some stories about that. So I have literally 5 bullet points of notes on here on my phone. And this could be very disorganized. This could be short. This could be long. Who knows? Like I've said before, I literally black out when I record these episodes, and I hope that it just turns out okay. And I just one take wonder them all. So this is what I got to say. Hope it doesn't suck. I wanted to start off by saying that actually one of the things that got me into podcasting back in 2019 was this girl named Tori DeSimone. She goes by Tori Sterling on YouTube and on Instagram, and she is from Philadelphia or outside of Philly, and she opened a spin studio out there and just like was famous on YouTube for being a makeup girl and then later being a fitness girl. And back in my college days, I was super fitness girl. Like I worked at SoulCycle for a while. I loved working out. I was a gymnast growing up. So like it was kind of just a natural extension of the things that I was into. And so when I found Tori and then she made a podcast, I just really loved her content. And her very first episode actually truly hooked me in to listening to podcasts. This was back when it wasn't super normal to be listening to podcasts on a daily basis or even recording podcasts. So whenever she started posting this first episode, I then got hooked onto her podcast and then started listening to a string of other podcast creators that then inspired me to start my own podcast. And her first episode is called I'm Confused. And I'll actually link it in the show notes of the episode because you guys might want to listen to it, because even to this day, it's just such a relatable episode because she just talks about how all of the information on the internet about dieting, about the way that we should eat, the optimal routine that we should be in, the way that we should work out. Like, should we be vegan? Should we be carnivore? Should we be paleo? Should we not care at all? How many grams of sugar should we eat a day? How much protein should we eat a day? All of that kind of stuff. She talks about how it's like exhausting and confusing. And I resonated with that a lot because I think I'm just like a learner. So I love just learning new stuff. I love learning new stuff about stuff that I don't need to know. I was actually talking to somebody last night and was saying to him that my brain is just full of things that I never need to know. And it's not full of things that I actually do need to know. Like when somebody tells me where they're from or their name. Actually, I'm pretty good with names, but yeah, when people tell me like more important details about their lives that I then ask them about over and over again because I forget. But I do know just random history facts that nobody ever needs to know. So that's how my brain works, and it kind of sucks. But I am a learner. And so when it comes to food, health, all of this kind of stuff, I find it fascinating. It's always been a topic that I've wanted to learn about. And so I would, out of my own volition, go looking for information just to educate myself, and also out of a desire to honor my body and treat myself well and be the best version of myself. And so it always comes out of a pure intention. But yet, what Tori talks about in this episode is that it leaves you so confused because of all the conflicting information and also the idea of bioindividuality, where everybody's body is so different. And so what one person eats may be different than what another person eats, and they're not necessarily one being worse than the other. And so I've always felt a little bit overwhelmed by that and resonated with her episode a lot. And whenever I was dealing with my mold poisoning, which if you haven't listened to my mold poisoning story, that was a couple episodes back, and I talked about living in New York City and getting mold poisoning from the apartment that I was living in. I gained a lot of weight. That was one thing I talked about in the episode. And even looking at my TikTok on this day drafts that come up every year, if you don't post on TikTok, you won't know, but like similar to how Instagram will like show you in your archive like memories, or Snapchat. I don't know. I don't have Snapchat. I think that grown adults need to stop having Snapchat. This is my hot take. Actually, if you're over the age of 22, can you please delete Snapchat? Or if you're a person that I meet out in the world, please don't ask me for my Snapchat because I will never speak to you again. But I was looking at videos of me a year ago today, and I was still dealing with trying to heal my mold poisoning. I hadn't lost all the weight yet, and I still just didn't feel like I looked like myself, or I didn't feel very happy with my body or body image. And so mold poisoning really took a toll on me because before I knew that I had mold poisoning, I thought that I was just gaining weight, and it led me to having a pretty unhealthy relationship with food because I didn't know what was happening to my body. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to eat less, or I need to eat this, or I need to eat that, or I need to cut carbs, or I need to cut gluten, or I need to stop drinking alcohol. And some of those things inherently aren't bad, but they're not always necessary because they're not always going to fix the problem. Like, I think we can all agree that drinking alcohol is not healthy. Like, nobody ever once said that alcohol is like good for you, unless it's like red wine. Is that like good for you? I know there's something, there's like resveratrol in it or something. Didn't they like want to use that to like cure COVID or something? I don't know. This is how my brain works. My brain just like jumps around like this. But yeah, when I had mold poisoning, I did a really aggressive elimination diet because I was trying to figure out why my body was responding in the way that it was to, now that I know mold. But I thought I was having some kind of issue with a certain type of food group that was causing me problems, or I was just overeating. And so by me saying, oh, I'm cutting gluten or cutting dairy or cutting alcohol, it would just lower the amount of calories that I was eating on a day-to-day basis. Lo and behold, it was none of that stuff. And I went through this whole roller coaster in my mind of trying to figure out a way to eat that I would stop gaining weight, but that was never going to solve the issue until I got out of the mold and was able to heal from the mold poisoning, which took about a year and a half. So it was not a fast process. But over the course of the last year, I would say, so June 2023 to now 2024, I really just got tired of hating myself. I don't know that it was one moment or something specific that triggered me. But I think I just got to a point where I decided that I was tired of not liking the way I looked and talking so down on myself. And even though my body didn't look how it used to, or feeling really defeated, that at that point I knew I had mold poisoning and I didn't know how long it would take to lose the weight or to get back to feeling like myself again, especially when it came to exercise. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I just decided that I didn't want to speak so negatively to myself. And so over the last year, I feel like I really changed my mindset of learning how to love the way that I am right where I am today and the way that God made me, even if I'm not the finished product that I want to be, even if I don't weigh the amount that I want to weigh, even if I don't look the way that I want to look. Some of those things being not changeable things about myself, like we're all born looking a certain way. We're all born genetically with a certain makeup. And I think I just got to a point where I decided to stop resisting the way that I was made and just start accepting that, okay, maybe I'm never going to be a size 0 again. So what? Or maybe I'm never going to be 6 feet tall. So I'm never going to be a runway model. And guess what? That's okay. I don't know. I just got to a point where I was having all these like conflicting views of information about food and then dealing with mold poisoning and all of this stuff where I truly just gave up. And one piece of the puzzle here actually was I worked for this company called Gainful for about 2.5 years in New York City. And it's a protein powder company. I still stand by their products. I think that they're great. Y'all should go check them out. But I worked as a designer for them. And so I would do like our social posts. I would help with web stuff. I would do our emails, packaging, all of that kind of stuff. So I was very much inundated with content about fitness, about building muscle or losing weight and all this stuff. And I actually left that company at the end of last year and started a new job in January. And now being 6 months out of that job, it's crazy to me to see how much that information really lived rent-free in my brain. And it's nobody's fault. It's not like I've been indoctrinated and, brainwashed or whatever, because all the information was good and useful. But it was crazy to me once I left that job, how much of my brain space was consumed with the idea of changing your body with your protein goal or what you're eating or being so conscious about your workout split and all of this stuff. And those are all good things. And so for me, the past 6 months have actually been a lot of me reconciling, like, what does it mean to just actually have a normal, healthy relationship with your body and with food. And when I had mold poisoning, I talked about in that episode that it made me really exhausted. Like that was one of the side effects where I would sleep like 10 to 12 hours a day and I would just not ever feel like I had the energy to go for a workout or even to just do my daily life. And so for a while back in college and when I lived in New York, I was an Equinox girl, but then I ended up canceling my Equinox membership and basically didn't work out for a solid year. Like I would do some stuff here and there. I would go for walks, but I didn't have like a workout routine or a workout that I was going to, like a class, any of that kind of stuff consistently because my body just didn't feel capable. And so at the beginning of the year, I think I said in that episode too, that I reflected on the fact that I really felt like I was fully healed physically from the effects of mold poisoning. And since leaving that job at Gainful and embracing the fact that I truly feel like I'm better now, I actually think that I've really healed my relationship with my body and with food. And even the last couple weeks, I have not been cooking. I've not been eating healthy, but I've been hitting my workouts and I haven't been beating myself up about it. And it's just crazy what your mind will do when you step away from all of those thoughts and patterns and feelings about food and exercise and always feeling like you're not doing enough and always feeling like there's some other diet you should try or some other thing that you should remove from your diet or whatever, that you actually get excited to eat that sweet green salad or go for a run, or as I have recently started boxing in the last 6 months, and I've really been enjoying it. And I don't see boxing as this workout that I have to go to, but instead it's like playtime for me, and I get to enjoy moving my body and being thankful for being young and strong and capable in ways that I won't be able to do one day when I'm old. Hopefully, I will be young and strong and hot forever. Nature works how nature works. About a year ago, maybe when I turned 24, I don't know, because it's about to be my 25th birthday next week, I kind of just decided to stop hating myself and just to embrace the way that God made me and to try the best that I can to honor my body and to eat healthy, but not be overly consumed by it, and to work out, but not be so concerned about how many minutes of activity you're getting in or what your heart rate zone is at, or if you do a 6-day workout split, or if you only work out 3 days that week. Like, I feel like the noise is gone. And I think that's actually made me happier than I've been in a long time. And there's a lot of things that have contributed to me feeling really content with where I'm at in life right now, because this is something I've been sharing with my friends just personally. Is I truly feel like I'm the happiest that I've ever been in my entire life. And the crazy thing is there's nothing ridiculously good going on. It's not like there's some crazy thing that happened to me that has changed my life significantly. It's like I've actually found joy in the day-to-day moments of life, and that my mind is a place that I want to be in. And for a long time, when it came to body image and relationship with food, and just the way that I would think about food all the time, or think about the way that I looked in my clothes, or the fact that my jeans would start not fitting because I was gaining weight, or any of that kind of stuff, the fact that those thoughts don't go through my mind anymore. It's like my mind, those TikTok videos where it's so annoying, like the couples, they have like what it sounds like when I'm with my boyfriend. It's like that, like peaceful little like birds chirping in the wind sound. I don't know, if you know, you know. But it's like my brain actually feels like that now. And I'm not inundated with all of these thoughts about, oh, if only I looked like this, or if only I was a size 2, or if only I lost 5 more pounds, or if only I could do a couple more workouts a week, or if only I didn't eat that thing, and feeling all this guilt and shame and anger towards my body instead of just loving it the way that it is. And so I say all of this to say that it was the moment that I decided to fully let go and give up on trying to have a perfect diet or trying to live a perfect lifestyle, that I actually felt more emboldened and the passion to honor my body and to work out and to push myself in my runs and try to get my speed up, or, hit more boxing classes every week, or try to work on some skill that I've never done before, hit the speed bag and all of that kind of stuff. I feel like it was once I really let go of all of that like tense energy of I have to do this, I have to do this, I can't look like this, I don't like this about myself, I hate myself, like all of those thoughts and feelings, that I finally felt free to actually become the person that I was trying to be the whole time. And it's crazy how that works, because for that year and a half that I had mold poisoning, obviously I had mold poisoning, so I don't fault myself for not having a good workout routine, or struggling with sugar cravings and all that stuff, and not being able to eat the way that I eat now. But if only I had just really let go back then, I wonder if it would have saved me a lot of mental anguish, if that's even the word. It's funny how that works, isn't it? The moment that you let go of all of these things in life, the moment that it gets so much easier. I think I've noticed that in a lot of areas of my life where I just decided I'm tired of hating where I'm at right now and always being concerned about where I want to be, but instead embracing the moment where I'm at right now. And it's such a simple concept, but yet the hardest thing to grasp. Like, contentment is the hardest thing to grasp. And I think my relationship with my body, or my relationship with food, has been a very tangible and like obvious example of that. And I think a lot of women struggle with it. So I'm happy to be the open book to let you know that you're not alone in that. And that it's even girls that seemingly are confident in themselves can still struggle with these thoughts and these feelings. But the more I let go of thinking that I have to do all these things in order to be a certain way, but instead be thankful that I am made this way so that I can go out and be all the things that I want to be. Oh my gosh, you feel so free. And so it's not that I never want to ever think about the type of food that I eat again. Like I try to eat healthy regardless, just to, like I said, honor my body or get a workout in because I want to build muscle or, I want to lean out in a certain way. But at the root of it all, it's not a desire to change my body that motivates me, but instead a desire to be the best version of myself that then changes me into the best version of myself. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. I do have an old episode similar to this one from 2021 that I'll link in the show notes of all the diet rules that I've given up and just my body image journey. But it's funny because even from that episode to everything that happened between then to now, it's like a roller coaster. It's never linear. It's never been perfectly me following that path the whole time. And I'm thankful that I feel free enough to talk about it because it's not something that we should be ashamed to talk about. I don't know. I just don't think shame belongs anywhere near me. Shame is not from God. And so if shame is not from God, I don't want it anywhere near me. And so this is like an area of my life where I've decided that shame doesn't get to be in charge. Shame doesn't even get to have a foothold in my life in terms of the way that I look or the way that I feel about my physical body. And just making that decision has changed everything for me and has brought me a lot of peace. And so in every area of my life now, whenever I feel like, oh, I'm not good enough or I can't do this, I remind myself like shame doesn't have a place here. Shame doesn't have a foothold here. And when I let it go and accept the things as they are today, knowing that the only constant in all of life is that change is inevitable. And that's scary and it's also beautiful. And so whenever something is not the way that I want it in life, I just remind myself that it's not always going to be this way. And so finding ways to be content in every moment and saying no to shame and letting yourself be free, even if you don't feel like a finished product, that is what it means to live at peace. Like, what a gift. Anyway, I just rambled for 20 minutes about that. This is a shorter episode this week, but I wanted to just share some of that because I know people personally in my life that are struggling with this. I know that I've struggled with this a lot. I know my friend even recorded a podcast episode about her journey with this, which was really inspiring. I feel like it's just been a conversation that I've been in a lot lately, and especially being a person that's like involved in a lot of run clubs and I have a lot of fit friends. Like I want to share this because this is so on my heart because you never know what people are struggling with or the way that people feel about themselves that they're not sharing. And so if you're one of my friends or even if you're not and you're just random on the internet and you feel confused about what do I eat? How do I do this? Like it's consuming my thoughts. It's consuming my mind. I don't like how I look. Any of those things. Here's your invitation to give up and decide to stop hating yourself and just to love yourself where you are and to try your best and to be content with the fact that you may never look the way you want to look, but that doesn't mean that you're not beautiful as you are. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to get there. Obviously, if you have medical issues going on, that is super frustrating and not great. And if you gain 25 pounds in 3 months, like I did when I had mold poisoning, go see a doctor because if I never found out I had mold poisoning, I would have never been able to heal it and then therefore be this happy, healthy version of myself. But yeah, if you're not where you want to be, if you don't feel confident in who you are or the way that you look, let me tell you that changing the way that you look will never fully make you confident in who you are. So make that decision today to stop hating yourself, be confident, and put yourself on the path that will ultimately lead you to the outcome that you're looking for, but only in the identity of knowing that you are fully whole and secure the way that you are. Wow, this is becoming like a whole talk on identity. That's a whole other podcast episode that we could get into. I feel like I jumped all over the place, so editing this is going to be a fun time. But the last thing I'll leave you with, and this is for my Christians out there, if you're listening, if we are made in the image of God, don't you think it's Satan's idea to distort that image? Isn't that his crafty idea? For you to hate yourself, for you to hate the way that you look, for you to be down on yourself. Isn't that Satan's number one idea, is to distort what God made for good? That's like his number one trick in the book, is to distort the image of God in the world. So, no thank you. I don't want it. You're done. Shame ain't got a place over here. Keep it over there. Anyway, I'm done with my ramble. Hope you guys have a good week. Hope this was encouraging to somebody that needed to hear it. And I'll talk to you guys next week.